So at the weekend, we've got the Boots and Bam double card. No, they are not fighting each other, but they are fighting opponents and they are co-maining the event. So let's start with Jaron Ennis. And this is a really weird situation. He's fighting someone who has already won 12 rounds against and beaten a few fights ago, but because Chakadzhian has had a few wins since, he's become the mandatory again. So he has been ordered to fight Ennis, or Ennis is going to lose his belt. It seems unlikely that Chakadzhian will have improved that much over two fights to be able to have a competitive fight with Ennis, who, as I said, beat him. He won almost 12 rounds against him last time. But thankfully, Jesse Bam Rodriguez being on the card builds up a bit of excitement. The Ennis fight is a weird one because Eddie Hearn offered the fight to Brian Norman Jr., who's another champion at welterweight, but he didn't want the fight. That seems weird to me. Like, I feel like it might be a mistake because even if you're not getting the money that you want from the first fight, you should believe in yourself enough to win the fight, right? And then when you win the fight, there'll be a rematch clause. And in the rematch, you'll get all the money you could possibly want. And surely if you're a fighter with the mindset of a fighter, you want the smoke, right? You don't care about the money. You just want to fight the best. And Jaron Ennis is the best in the division at the moment. One thing about Jaron Ennis is he looks absolutely huge. Like, I can't for the life of me understand how he boils himself down to welterweight. It looked like a cruiserweight versus a middleweight when I was watching his fight against Avanesyan. To be fair, he performed pretty well against Avanesyan. He managed to get him out there. I think it's just his size. I think people just can't cope with his size. Good shot selection. But yeah, this would be awful if it was just him, on the card. But thankfully, Jesse Bam Rodriguez is also on the card. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, definitely a pound-for-pound star. And I've always heard people talking about how good he was, but it wasn't until I went and I watched the highlights of his fights against Estrada and Sonny Edwards, and I was like, wow. Not only is this guy a really good boxer, but he also puts on a show. His fight against Estrada was astonishing. Neither guy were running, holding. They were punching, they were throwing, they were standing there and fighting. Bam knocked him down early, but then Estrada knocked him down. Not quite as heavy, but he knocked him down. And then Bam came back and stopped him with one of the most devastating body shots I've ever seen. You've got to go and watch that if you haven't watched that. And then against Sonny Edwards, again, another brutal knockdown. He hit him and Sonny Edwards was just out of it. He landed on his head. It was brutal. And, Edwards' face was all beat up. But credit to Edwards, he got up from that horrific knockdown. He actually gave Estrada some problems in that fight. I don't know if he had the power to give him some serious problems. And I think, especially in the later rounds, I think as he got tired, I think his power was a little bit less. But he counterpunched really well in that fight and definitely gave Rodriguez some problems. And Rodriguez is fighting Guevara, who I don't think it will be as competitive as his last two fights, but I think it'll be better than the Jaron Ennis versus Chakadzhian fight. But maybe it'll be a mistake to write off Chakadzhian. Maybe he will have learnt and improved from the last two fights. But I think in terms of excitement levels, it's very low, right? Especially when you lose 12 rounds against him. I think if it was like a split decision win for Ennis, and then you go and win a few more fights and then come back, I think that'd be more exciting. But the fact that he lost every round, and the fact that the Brian Norman fight couldn't get made, yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? I think the Brian Norman fight would have been more exciting, but maybe Brian Norman's making the right decision. Maybe it's a bit like Canelo and Mayweather. Canelo knew that if he waited a few years, he'd get so much more money for the Mayweather fight, and it turned out right. But yeah, I think Norman should just take the fight. I think with this current look of the boxing scene, I don't think your own matters as much anymore. I think people just want to see you get in hard fights, give a good account of yourself, and you'll get another fight if you perform well. I think that's why people like Jarrell Miller keep coming back on the Rio cards. He's not world level, or he's not world champion, world level, but he puts on entertaining fights. He put it on Dubois, he put it on Ruiz Jr., and he keeps coming back. So yeah, I'll say like medium excitement for the event. I'm excited for Bam Rodriguez. Maybe not because I think it'd be 50-50. It's not sort of like, oh, this could go badly for him. But I'm expecting a dramatic knockout. And he's always in exciting fights. And Ennis, can he finish off Chakadzhian? Can he make a statement? Could it be really boring, another just shutting him out for 12 rounds? I guess we'll find out. The undercard is pretty decent as well. Some fights coming back that we haven't seen for a while. Ray Ford is back against Gonzalez. Ray Ford, who had the 12-round war with Nick Ball in Saudi earlier this year. Ammo Williams is back, who got knocked out by Hamza Shiraz. Again, Hamza Shiraz I think is really good. I think he's arguably the best middleweight on the planet right now. No shame in getting knocked out by him. And to be fair to Ammo, he rocked Hamza a bit in the first few rounds. So he's back against Garrido. All in all, a decent event. Some names on the undercard. A pound-for-pound star in Bam Rodriguez. A little bit of curiosity, I suppose, as to the Ennis fight. Yeah, Ennis is just so big. I'm not sure I can see anyone beating him at that weight. Apart from maybe Crawford, of course. But I think if he wants to challenge himself, maybe he should go up a few weight classes. I'm assuming that must be the aim when you're that big. I guess maybe he wants to unify this weight first and then go up. I suppose that would make sense. But if you want to challenge yourself or get bigger fights, you probably do want to move up in the end, right? But yeah, there's my preview for the Bam and Boots duo. Leave me your thoughts in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.